Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here, and today I want to go real quickly over what I think are going to be some of the better season starters for SS7 Arcana League in Torchlight Infinite. Now, I'm not going to have links for all of the different builds. There are like quite a few other people that are making guides out there, but I did just want to like talk about what I think is going to be strong. And one of the best things about playing Torchlight is even if you make some mistakes, it's really easy for you to respec and change stuff all the way up to level 90. And that's just like very easy to do. It's even easy to respec. And one of the things I always kind of do is pay attention to what's going on the leaderboards, what's going on the like different like stuff that's going on, to see what other people are doing and kind of like adapting my build as we go, because there's always like a lot of stuff that's like changing every single season in Torchlight. So it's really hard to be like, I'm going to use the exact same build from last season this season. However, starting off right at the bat with Selena here, I think that we pretty much are going to use the same build for leveling up, because Howling Gale is just really ridiculously strong. Howling Gale and all other channeled skills had their cast speed reduced by a little bit here, and then they had their damage increased, which is very nice, with the exception of Icebound Beam. And Icebound Beam actually had its cast speed reduced by a lot. It also lost damage. So Icebound Beam, I think, is probably significantly nerfed this season, which does kind of suck. But Howling Gale was like the fastest leveling experience I've ever had. Took about like an hour and a half, not really knowing what I was doing to get through the entire campaign. This is very solid. And I think there's a lot of good stuff potentially in the new Pack Spirit system, and just in general, like I think it's going to be a very strong build once again. There were a lot of people that were playing this towards the end of the season and like stacking up tons of max channel stacks and really making it work. And there's just like a couple of different ways to build it that I think are going to be really good, but I'll put a link to my actual leveling guide from last season in here. And then number 2 that we're going to talk about here is Rehan Train. Now Rehan, Anger specifically, is getting a whole host of buffs, and this last season kind of saw a big change for Train. So Train no longer uses Savage Charge for its like trigger skill. Instead, they're using Whirlwind, and I think that's going to probably continue to be the same. However, Rehan had a problem where you couldn't get really a lot of cooldown to trigger his skills off. Well, now they changed it so Rampaging no longer gives you supports, and instead makes it so that your bonuses to attack speed now apply to your burst cooldown speed. And so especially as you get these higher up, this is going to be just absolutely redonkulous. And Rehan's going to have a lot of cooldown reduction when he's super duper geared out and be able to pop off like probably 20 plus bursts per second. And I think it's going to really make the character quite strong. And so I don't necessarily have a build guide for this. However, Milky BK does a really great job every single season playing Rehan Train. He's kind of the train guy. And so I would check out him. I'll put a link to his Twitch channel down below. And now next up, we have Gemma 2. Gemma 2 Frost Terra, I think, is going to be perfectly fine. It was one of the more popular builds this previous season for like early on in the season. You can see like a lot of people here in the 90s on the NA ladder, which is always kind of like a little bit weaker compared to the other ladders for sure. And so, yeah, lots of people on day 2 that are really cranking it out. And Frost Terra itself actually got a little bit of a buff. So yeah, I think that if anything, Frost Terra is probably going to be even better than it was last season. But, you know, maybe there's some things that I've missed there in the patch notes. Likewise with Gemma 3. Gemma 3 is also very strong. The kind of Ignite version of Gemma 3 kind of got nerfed. However, I do think that like Whirlwind is still going to remain relatively strong. And so like if we go through here, we see a lot of people were playing this pretty early on. I wish these were sorted. Here we go. So even like Etup, for example, was playing this with Whirlwind and just really blasting. And I think that Gemma 3 is kind of like a little bit overloaded with her kit right now. And I don't believe that she got any major nerfs. And so you'll be able to just continue to pop off. Lots of people level 90 plus with Gemma 3. I think it's just a very solid build to be playing even this season and next season. Next up, Erika 1, I believe, is going to end up being probably quite strong, either with just going and doing Berserking Blade or Arrow or Shadow Ein, what is this thing called? Ghost Blade Einherjar. Both of these are going to be pretty strong, I think. I've seen a lot of people talking about the changes to Steep Strikes, and I think Steep Strikes in general might end up being a little bit overtuned. It's going to be seemingly a lot easier for you to get to 100% chance to Steep Strike, which makes a lot of these skills just really pop off with large amounts of damage. And Erika 2 did get quite a bit of a buff. I think a 40% buff or something. However, I'm not sure if that necessarily fixes her single target problems, so I'm not sure if I would recommend that as like an early starter. Now, an early starter that really didn't get any buffs at all is Youga. And Youga Chain Lightning, I think, is probably going to be one of the strongest starters, and he just does a really great job. And he's one of the few builds that's probably going to continue to use the Surging Inspiration here. This kind of got nerfed for a lot of people because they were spamming a mobility skill that no longer counts as a mobility skill a lot to trigger off Surging Inspiration. And I'm pretty sure that his clones can, help generate this stuff and to discharge it as well. And so you guys are going to take a really good advantage of the fact that that hat's probably going to be a lot cheaper this season than it was last season. Now, the other Youga, Youga 2, Mind Control is probably going to be like the premier build of the season in terms of leveling. And that's because Mind Control got a whole host of buffs here. So you can pull this back up. So Mind Control basically lost a little bit of damage here. However, previously it gained 5.5% additional damage per max channel stack, and each channel stack gives you +1 possible links. So with just baseline, you're connecting to 3 enemies, and as you channel up, you can go up to 8, and then as you add more max channels, you get more connections basically. Now, instead of being 5.5, it's 21.5. That's 16% additional damage per max channel stacks. But it gets a little crazier than that. So Concentrate here makes it so that you also get a lot more damage for every link less than the maximum links. So if you're single target, this is going to proc off a lot and basically give you up to 8% additional damage per max channel stack. Which is a lot of damage then. Almost 30% more damage from each max channel stack. That's a lot. That is a lot. And some of the other supports here give you more damage if enemies are afflicted by 3 or more crowd controls. I think could potentially also be okay. And then there is one here that makes it so that you instead can also link up to 6 minions, and those 6 minions can give you quite a bit of damage as well. And so it goes up to 17% times 6. So yeah, that is a lot of damage as well. I think there's going to be a few different Mind Control builds that could potentially be popping off this season. And so definitely just keep your eyes on that. Really quite powerful. Now, the build that I'm planning to play is Iris 2, the brand new hero. And she really likes minions. And minions are going to be, I think, probably very strong this season. And there are a few minion builds. And now you can also play around with these same new maguses or maguses with Iris 1, which I think it should also still be strong. But these are just going to be very quite fun. Now, one of the ones here that I'm interested in here is the Erosion Magus. And he has a couple of things that are kind of interesting here. So for example, while your Empower skill from the minion is up, it triggers the ultimate instead of the base or enhanced skill. And this does have, I believe, a 1 second cooldown, which you might be able to get lowered down. However, this I think could be pretty powerful because the ultimate for this guy does 1786 base damage. And then this scales all the way up to 3857. And so if you could get this to proc off quite frequently, this could be pretty insane. And there's even a node for Iris 2 that allows you to basically spam your ultimate, which could be strong as well. And there's other stuff in here, like you get the interval of automatically triggered skills is affected by their cast speed. You get like reduced cast speed for taking this, but you can just build a lot of a cast speed and potentially buff up your erosion magus as well. And there's also one here that makes it so that the origin of the spirit magus provided by the supported skill gains an additional effect up to 12% additional erosion damage. You can get quite a bit of origin of spirit magus effect, and as you just stack that up, you're just getting more and more and more damage. And so this could be a very strong scaling vector for the class. And there's also just a lot of very interesting things I think that are going on with the different spirit maguses. And you can see like all of the different supports here. Now the other new spirit magus is the rock magus. And this one, I'm not really sure how to feel about it just yet. One of the things that a lot of people were kind of looking forward to was the spin to win that we saw previewed. So it says cast the skill to launch 3 strikes in a circular area nearby, dealing attack physical damage equal to 47% of base damage with each strike, and movement is not restricted. And so when at stage 3 or higher, for each enemy within a kind of close range, you're doing 3.5% additional damage, and this stacks up to 8 times with skill area as well. And this skill does scale all the way up to 102%, but this does seem kind of low in terms of damage numbers. So it'd be kind of interesting to see how this goes. However, it does have one of these new supports here that makes it so that we can stack based on armor, which I think could be incredibly fun. Yeah, so you get 1% additional damage for minions summoned by the supported skill for every 2200 armor they have, up to 75%, and 100% of the bonuses and additional bonuses to the summoner's armor also applied to minions supported by this skill. So I could see like an armor stacking rock magus type of thing really popping off, and so you'd probably be pretty tanky at the same time as making him do a lot of damage. So I think that could be a lot of fun, and really I was looking forward to this season. I'm planning on playing Iris 2 and pretty much just seeing where the season takes us. I might end up re-rolling, who knows. I might end up playing Selena again, who knows. Might even go play Train again. But really I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I tend to go into the seasons with kind of a loose plan about what I want to do, and then I like to just adjust and figure out what's working, what's not working, what stuff that I want to aim for, and that's just really how I like to approach the game. Hopefully this video helped you out a little bit, and we'll see you guys again soon, and come by the stream. We'll be blasting. See ya.